Hello and welcome to this special show. Feb 14 is a date that we all associate with romantic love, but since 2019, the day has also been marked as a black day. Operation Valentine is a new film that's come. It's going to be released on the 1st of March, and it is in Hindi as well as in Telugu. And I have with me Varun Tej, who plays the fighter pilot in it. You have the looks for it, and you have the height for it. How did you prepare for this film, and tell us what it is attempting to do, because all of us know that this is something that speaks about patriotic love.
Right, ante two things. Obviously the prep was quite important because the representation of IAF or Air Force pilot, we wanted it to be as realistic as possible. So definitely on paper, the detailing and all my director did. So to look and act like a fighter pilot, obviously there's a physical part of it, to look like one, to look agile and all of that. Because my previous films I was kind of muscular, I played a boxer and all, so I had to shed some muscle for this and look more lanky and agile. So that was going on the other side, and when you had to get into the shoes of a fighter pilot, their body language or the nuances and all of that, I luckily got to spend a lot of time with real Air Force pilots for this film. I think from hearing their stories, from hearing from their missions, from their training, or how their journey has been from their hometowns to how they're ultimately at an Air Force base, serving there from tens of years. I think all those stories really had an impact on how I played or how I could play this role of Arjun Dev. Obviously, but the thing is, like IAF we have very little information about how they operate also. So luckily when I met them, when we shot in the real air base, I had a lot of time interacting with them. And that really helped me to pull off this character.
So did you actually get on to any fighter craft and experience it?
You see how excited my face is.
So this is every boy's dream, or should I say every youngster's dream at least.
And when I went in, it was a 600 crore aircraft. I was very careful while getting into it, and it was very snug. It's not a lot of space, and because I'm a big guy, it was tough for me to get in. And there are too many technical buttons and all of them in it. But I did get to sit in it, like close the canopy, and get the flight out, taxi the flight out. But obviously we couldn't fly it because I'm not equipped or trained for it. That part and all we achieved through VFX, and but it was a dream for me, staying in shooting in a real airbase for about 40 days. And interacting with them. For me, even the jet sound was like music. Me and my team and all were like putting those headphones because they wanted to cut the noise, but I was in the zone, and I was like, this is like music for me. And any Air Force pilot will actually enjoy that, right? So I kind of had a great time shooting there.
Acclimatizing to those sounds.
And
as well.
I think when you're playing such a character also, and you're playing such a character, I think when the environment is so real and serious, it actually helps you to play a character really well and with a lot of conviction. It helps an actor when there's a real location that you're shooting in, rather than a set and all of that. When I see that
you were actually at Gwalior for 40 days.
40 days, like we did 2 schedules there, and because the IAF and the MOD worked with us, we sent them the script. We wanted them to be okay with it, and if they like the script and all, they'll let you shoot in real air bases and all. They really like the script. And Gwalior it's probably one of the top 3 busiest air bases in the country, and they had about 10 to 12 squadrons active in that air base, and they were giving us permission. They were moving the jets for us, and I think I should really thank the Indian Air Force for being so accommodative for us.
So Operation Valentine, obviously Pulwama comes to mind, what happened, and before that whatever the attacks that happened, and this is kind of a revenge that the soldier is doing on behalf of the country. Right.
It was like an answer to what happened on Feb 14. And basically the episodes, we were actually inspired by true events. So majorly it was the Pulwama and the Balakot that happened. Yeah. We have, obviously as common people, there's a very little information. I've seen some articles on TV, news articles and all that. That is very limited. Somewhere me and the director felt these sacrifices have to be told out. They should know what went through or how their training was or how their planning was behind it. So when you see it, when you read it, it sounds so easy that they went and they just eliminated a certain terrorist group or their base. but when you read it, it sounds so easy. But our intention was to show how difficult it was to plan for that, or how tough it is, or how their mental state was when they were going there. And luckily, when we were in Gwalior Air Base, when I had some time, I was interacting with some ground staff. So they were telling me that none of them at the air base knew that this was happening. And suddenly all their phones were confiscated and they were all put in a room. So they didn't want this information to go out. So all this, we wanted to tell people and just remind them that these things don't come easy. And I just want to, it's like a tribute to what our Air Force did.
You actually chose to release your album at the border,
yes,
Baga border, Atari. What was that experience like? And that must have been quite a first, I guess.
I always wanted to go. We initially planned once with my friends, but because of my schedule of some film, I couldn't make it. But luckily with this film, I got to go. I had the opportunity to go to the Wagah border, Baga Atari border. And even on the 14th of February, I went to the Pulwama Memorial. So the CRPF people were really... they were really nice to us. They let us get into the 185th Battalion, and we offered our prayers to the martyred soldiers. It was truly, we obviously went and paid our respects, and it was a very emotional time for all of us, because we knew we went into a very in-depth research about what happened, and it was definitely a disheartening thing what happened on 14th of February. So we went there, paid a tribute to the soldiers, and it was a very emotional journey going there.
So was that also kind of a childhood dream? For many youngsters, if
right.
you ask, they'll say we want to join, and you're hoping this will inspire many more youngsters
right.
to the forces.
When I was talking to a couple of Air Force pilots, so they were like, people, we don't come out and talk about our job. We don't publicize our job. So, but once in a while, we want someone to talk about this, about a medium like cinema, which can penetrate through a lot of people. A lot of youngsters will come and see this. We want them to understand what goes and what goes behind becoming an Air Force pilot. We want them to understand that this is a very cool job. So they said, please show us well. And we want, our idea is ultimately, because we're supporting you to make this film, our intention behind this is we want some youngster to get inspired seeing this and join the force. And I think we feel that as a small responsibility. That is the reason why we are not taking very cinematic liberty and going off the grid and making something glamorous. We wanted to be as realistic as possible to what happened and how the interpretation of the entire episode and how the IAF operates and all that. We wanted to be as realistic as possible. It's a childhood dream for everyone, yes, and I lived that thoroughly.
Okay, this one you're making in Hindi as
right.
well as in Telugu. I don't know why you left out the other South Indian languages. They would have been equally excited, I guess. But your first outing in Hindi,
right.
What have you done for that? Of course, Manushi Chillar is playing
right.
your female lead,
yes,
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have, basically I never had an idea that, you should make a film for another language and all of that, because I was comfortable in Telugu making my films. And I was in a comfortable
this has
state,
a universal
right?
appeal, though.
Right. So, but the thing is, I truly believe that sometimes the content has to be universal. So this had that. Operation Valentine had that universal appeal. And other than that, every actor wants, they want their work to be noticed by a larger section of audience. But when you make a film, it is not just about releasing, it's about marketing it quite well also. So when Sony came on board, after me and Shakti met, we were planning to make a Telugu film. When they came on board, when they listened to it, their idea was this should be made in Hindi because we wanted to reach a wider audience, and they have a great distribution network. And that's the thing. If you don't have enough marketing spend, you should not touch your movie and go to another language and just have a very bad release.
Yeah,
so
tight up end to end.
Yeah. So here, luckily, we had full support of Sony from day one. The producers of the film. So and other than that, my director is from Rajasthan. He doesn't know Telugu. So when he approached me, I was like, I thought for him to take a call on set, I think it will be easier rather than him learning the language, because I'm familiar with
You're
Hindi.
a Hyderabad boy, so you know Hindi as well.
I can understand, but I'm not very fluent. I can't speak good Hindi. But you
have dubbed for your own lines
yes,
in Hindi
yes.
as well.
I took Hindi classes for a couple of months. So we had a diction tutor from Bombay. So he flew to Hyderabad. So we did basic diction and all of that. We tried, and then we got into the script. So we directly started doing all the lines. So they were all by heart before I went to shoot. but it got difficult. I thought shooting in two languages would be easy, but because the script is so different in like Telugu and Hindi, you can't choreograph your act. Like if there's a scene that is staged, you're walking from one end to another saying a dialogue. In Telugu, it might take you only 2 seconds, but Hindi it might take you like 3-4 seconds, right? Yeah. When I was doing Telugu lines, I would suddenly get a Hindi line out, and I was doing Hindi the other way
But an Air Force officer is allowed to speak in Hindi.
Allowed to speak Hindi, but it's too messed up. It's natural. It was natural. The same happened to Manushi also. So she was, in fact, doing her Hindi line. She was suddenly a Telugu line would pop up, and vice versa.
So, this is one genre of film. You've done action before as well. Recently, we saw your comedy lines as well, F2, F3 and all that, and I think hugely enjoyed by audiences. And you've always played the romantic hero as well.
Also,
the NRI who came down, and Fida was a big hit as well. So, what's the difference? Did you your approach to the film becomes very different? In this case, obviously, you needed to be someone of a particular stature, particular dignity and personality.
I think every character that you play has a different approach. Like you have to approach it in the way it's on paper and on what you're required to do. When you're called out to play a certain role, it's not. They don't want to see Varun on screen. They want to see the character that is written, that is given to me. For that, obviously, every character has a different approach. For example, if it's a film like Fida, I did put some accent in the way I speak or the way I talk or move. See, certain nuances you kind of, you have to do a bit of research. Otherwise, see, sometimes it is passable without doing all of that also. But this is your job, you're paid for this, and you better do this. I think you have to be loyal to the job you're given and give it your 100%. And when it comes to this movie, it required me to physically look like this, act like this, talk like this. So for that, obviously, as I told you...
Are you said to be from any particular state in the film?
Technically, it was Hyderabad. So if we thought it'll be easy in case I mess up Hindi or my accent is a little here and there. But I don't think we mention about it. It goes more on a operation. It's basically the story happens in 6-7 days in the film. So we don't go into depth about where your hometown is and all of that. But we kind of mentioned it's Hyderabad in the film. Okay. Hyderabad
for our viewers, I must say that you also belong to such an eminent family. All of Ramcharan is his cousin, and his sister is an actress herself, and all in the family. So you have seen something.
Few of them, yes.
Grown up with films as well. So was becoming a film hero your target?
It was not. My target was initially not an actor, but the thing is.
Not before the camera, but behind.
Yeah, behind. Because I was very shy. I wasn't sure of which field, which craft I wanted to do. But I was very sure from a very young age that this is the industry that I want to work with. Because I grew up at home. Growing up, I used to see my dad go to sets, shoot. The discussions were about cinema at home. I would
Dad is an actor. Chiranjeevi is your uncle. Pawan Kalyan is your uncle.
I would go to my Chiranjeevi daddy's uncle's films, shootings, and I would. That entire environment on set was something that really, really fascinated me. And other than that, I have huge amount of respect towards the industry because that is what put food on a table. And that is what gave my uncles or my dad this love from the audiences. So that level of respect I always had. So I said, okay, I should...
Yeah, in one generation, he actually made it so big.
And I was like, okay, when he gave in so much to this craft and people gave him so much love and it made us stand in this on this zone. Then I figured that this is the area that I want to explore. But as a youngster, I wasn't very sure. I knew director was there, there's an editor, there's a DOP and all of that, but I didn't know what they do. This was when I was in 4th grade or something. But eventually I wanted to become a director, but then I figured it was a very, very tough job. And for that, there's a lot of learning to go to. And then at one time I figured that, acting is something that I wanted to explore. I'm a very curious kind of a guy. Growing up, I always wanted to see how it is to be in other person's shoes and all of that, how his life is or how it is to wake up as that person. So then I thought, okay, acting is something that will help me explore different characters. And I felt it was a very exciting job. So then that's how I picked it up and I thought, okay, I should do this.
And did you realize it's much more strenuous than just exciting?
No, I love the challenges that comes with this. Maybe the way that you need to transform or the timings of it, everything. I think I love every bit of challenge that comes with this profession. Only the promotional part I feel little taxing. Because
part of the job, I guess.
It's part
now.
of the job, but when I hear, and sometimes, I mean, I love talking about my film and telling what went through, because that is good information that people need to know when your film is coming out. But earlier in the beginning days, I was not very comfortable talking and all of that. But I think I learned that it's part and parcel of this profession.
You also married your co-actress, and she's your life partner now.
Yes, yeah.
He's just married about 3 months, 4 months into that. Yeah. November 1, yes. The formation day of Andhra Pradesh originally became your marriage day as well. So, how do you kind of inspire each other? Both of you continuing to act, isn't it?
Actually, in the beginning, I mean, a lot of people posed this question to me saying, why we never heard about your relationship in the beginning? You kept it under the wrap so much. The idea was not because we wanted to come out and not have fun or not, hang out. Our idea, in the beginning when we started our relationship, me and Lavanya were discussing, we were like, we got into this profession to prove something, to explore this. And this is something that should not divert us from what our main idea was or what our main goal is. So we said, this age, let's explore this. Let's obviously, hang out and talk and all of that, get to know each other. Let it take its time. But this is where our focus should be. And from the beginning, our focus was always into work, and was never into take me out or let's go on a holiday. It was never that. That's the reason we kept it under the wraps. Luckily, we both of us have that understanding, and we have that respect towards each other's craft. And I think we don't step into our boundaries also. We give each other that space, because certain things that work for me. See, everyone wants to give an opinion. When something doesn't work out with her, or something that doesn't work out in my career or something, you immediately want to opine and just say, okay, we should have done it like this. But it is not necessary that everything works out for the other person, and their life is, and the structure is completely different. And I think that is the respect that we have towards each other and our profession.
Was there a lot of pressure? People who come newly into films, they say, oh, we didn't have anyone to come.
Right.
In your case, your family is full of big film stars.
Right.
That also is huge pressure, isn't it?
It is, I mean...
people think you get a stepping stone, but...
generally, this is a high pressure job, because it's not like you get a degree, you get a job and you work in an office and slowly you're climbing your way up. Here, every Friday is new. You have to prove yourself with every film. I mean, obviously you build a strong fan base and all of that, but every film is its stand alone, and you have to put the same effort for everything and every day. There is a sense of, more than a sense of pressure, there's a sense of responsibility for me, because my uncle has carved such a great name for himself and the family, my other actors in my family. They are in a very respectable position in this film industry. So when I join in putting aside the passion that I have towards this and the respect I have towards this, I never wanted to mess up what they've carved for themselves or for the family. So that sense of responsibility that I have, so I think that responsibility is the reason why I try to put in my 100% whenever I'm assigned to do something. And I don't take anything for granted. If I get an opportunity, be it a small film, be it a big budget film, or be it an ad, I would go and do my 100% when I'm paid for it, when people believe that I need to deliver something, I should be doing that. I think that responsibility...
You explored the other medium also, isn't it, other than films?
Right.
In that sense, do you see with OTT coming, the lines actually are getting blurred away?
Correct. And I feel...
And language also, I'm asking, now you're ventured into Hindi, but is Indian cinema, there's no such thing as Tollywood, Bollywood anymore, isn't it?
I personally, before I became an actor, I was a huge cinema buff. I would know films coming from other industries, from Bengali films, Kannada films, Malayalam films, Hindi films, everything. I always thought India in our country we produce such amazing films, but only because of the language barrier, a lot of films are not able to, tap into so many audiences or a larger section.
Everyone doesn't get to see everything.
Right. Certain films don't have that theatrical pull. So luckily, I think OTT is a wonderful thing that happened. It's such a great platform for a lot of upcoming artists to prove their mettle. Maybe ultimately they can move into cinema or they can do OTT space. Like if you see a Hollywood actor like Chris Hemsworth, he's doing an Avengers on the side and he's doing an Extraction like that on Netflix. So I think that line between cinema and OTT also is blurred. But cinematic experience has its own charm always. And
big screen,
OTT also has its comfort, sitting at home, watching with your wife, or watching some nice content. But ultimately the language barrier that is being erased now, I think it's a very, very, very refreshing change. That's why now you're seeing, earlier people in Telugu probably Telugu or Hindi wouldn't have consumed Telugu films like how they are consuming now. I think it's great change that it's happening and we're evolving. So now we will culminate into this big film industry called the Indian film industry, and I think that's the reason when the...
And maybe it can be a world leader.
Yes, exactly. Especially, I mean, huge credit to Mr. Rajamouli Garu when he did RRR, and when these lines were blurred after Bahubali. When a film like RRR came, it was accepted so hugely by the entire country, and that's the reason it went global. So I think going forward, I think this is going to happen, and Indian films are going to reach. They are already, but they are going to go huge on a global scale.
So what's your aspiration for yourself, film-wise?
I basically put my head down, just walk, take one small step at a time. I mean, ultimately, I want to work and do good cinema and carve myself and become a good actor. Ultimately, I want to prove myself that I'm a good actor. Ultimately, that is what any artist strives for. Obviously, there's appreciation that you want that comes with any film. But I mean, I don't look at a longer picture. I just see today at itself and every movie on its own.
Any dream directors?
I mean, I love a lot of directors. I mean, I love, in Telugu, I really love Sukumar Garu. He's one of my favorite directors, and Rajamouli Garu, obviously, and who would not like him. I like Rajkumar Hirani also from Hindi. He's an amazing director, I feel. They're lovely people. Yeah.
Okay. Elections are coming up. Your father is also in politics,
Right.
maybe even contesting.
Right.
Your uncle is the Janasena chief.
Right.
So are you going to be campaigning for them? Any plans on that front?
Actually, I actually campaigned for the last term when my dad contested. I mean, I have humongous support towards the ideologies of what my uncle has, Mr. Pawan Kalyan Garu. And I mean, I do support his ideology. I do support what his party stands for. I feel that as a youngster or a citizen of this country, you have to take a political stand. It's fine. Like, you can be bashed by another section, but you have to have that sense of responsibility also. Earlier, this is something my uncles or my family told me. They said you need to know what it is or what is actually going on. Not because I speak something out or I tell you something to do something. As an individual, you have a mind of your own. Go see what's happening outside, understand, and then take a stand. But when you take a stand, stick to it, is what they told me. So ultimately, I mean, if they call me for anything, my services are always there for my uncle and my father.
So you need a thick skin both in films as well as in politics, though.
Ethics?
Thick skin, I'm saying, as in
you have to
because of the kind of trolling that happens.
I think cinema taught us that, because when I actually started, when I forayed into acting, the first movie it did okay. It wasn't a very.
But you also started as a child star, right?
That was no one knew. No one knew about it except my family, a few of my friends. But when that happened, when I saw when I was a victim of online criticism and foul and bullying, it really disheartened me. But it was about my family and all of that. Like, women in my family were being abused on social media. Because I was a young guy then, I kind of broke down and I felt so bad that this happened. But after that, I understood that, these things shouldn't really matter. You cannot stop someone from commenting about something. As long as deep down you're doing the right thing, then you can happily, peacefully sleep. So if you know deep down here that you're doing the right thing, you don't have any problems with someone speaking something awful or wrong. So I kind of, that doesn't affect me anymore at all. When it's about me, when it's about maybe sometimes people kind of push that and kind of abuse family and all that, it gets a little difficult, but it's...
So do you watch social media or
as
not
in,
an active participant?
I try to stay away from it because it is part of my work. Yeah, it is disturbing. I don't read everything and this, but I follow news on it, obviously. But I just stick mostly to a certain amount of news I consume about what's happening around, and definitely about cinema. I follow that. I don't read every detail of it, but I do read, of course, a couple of nice comments that when a movie comes out, I want to know what people think and all of that. You can understand. I think if you're smart enough, you can understand what is constructive criticism or who are abusing just for the heck of it. So I think
So social media is a reflection of the real world?
yeah, I think that's how it is, right? Yeah, but I think social media gives them more power because they're not physically there. Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Best wishes for Operation Valentine. So, March is when the worldwide release happens of Operation Valentine, both in Hindi as well as in Telugu. And you can watch Varun Tej as that man who is fighting for the country and winning those battles. And as he put it, not as a warrior, but as a savior. In Hyderabad, with camera person Nagraju, Sudhir, NDTV.